Happy Information Wednesday, Chalyce McQueen here. Sorry I'm not dressed up. It's been a crazy day, but that's neither here nor there. I do want to continue the topic of conversation per my teaser on part 2 of why auto insurance is so darn expensive here in Arizona, and specifically talk about the two topics of uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage that some of you may have or may not have on your policy. As always, I try to take conversations from customers that past week and bring it down to you guys, because the reality is if they're asking that question, you probably are too. So last week I had a couple different conversations regarding uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage. And the question I always get is, why is it my problem if someone doesn't have insurance or has inadequate coverage? And unfortunately it is. And I'm going to explain why. So in Arizona, 1 out of 5 drivers do not have insurance. That is a scary, scary number. The follow-up question to that is, if it's required by law, which in Arizona it is, you are required to have bodily injury coverage of $25,050 and also property damage of $15,000. So if it's a law, why do we have this uninsured and underinsured problem? Well, the uninsured problem comes from the fact that we have drivers from out of different countries coming in. We're a border state. We have drivers from other states. Only 14 states in our country actually require uninsured and underinsured protection, which should absolutely be 100% nationwide mandate. But, I'm not a lawmaker, so I can't help there, but I can help educate you on why you need to have it. So everyone asks me, what does uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage do? So though the names of these coverages are pretty self-explanatory, I'm gonna go over them real quick. So uninsured motorist, obviously someone that doesn't have any insurance whatsoever, which per my stats is 1 out of 5 vehicles on the road. Scary, scary. And of course, underinsured, just like the name it sounds, someone that has insurance, but it has inadequate coverage, which with our state minimum requirements being $25,050, more than likely, I would say every driver that has that coverage is in fact underinsured. So what happens if you have a car accident with someone that does not have insurance? Well, if you don't have uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage on your policy, you're basically left with 2 options. One is to sue the party and hope to God you can recover something or all of the expense, which is probably pretty slim because they don't have car insurance. They probably don't have the ability to pay you for your medical expenses and property damage. So more than likely, and even if you do happen to win a lawsuit and you have all those legal costs and fees occurred for that, maybe you get a judgment on their credit, and maybe 5-10 years down the road, if you're lucky, you may recoup some of those expenses. So number 1 is not exactly a favorable option for you. Number 2, you pay it yourself out of your own pocket. So this is why it's so important that you have uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage on your policy. Because that same scenario, you get into an accident, it's someone else's fault, they don't have insurance. Guess what? Those limits on your auto policy will kick in and take care of you, your medical bills, your property damage to your vehicle. And that's why it's so important to make sure that we don't cheat ourselves. I know people think that that's for someone else's protection. It's not, it's for our own. So my rule of thumb is, if you have 100,300 bodily injury limits, please take that down to your uninsured and underinsured. Do not cheat yourself, because $25,050, the minimum state requirement for bodily injury, is not going to cut it. I tell you guys over and over again, whiplash alone is $28,000 award. A bumper these days that have a minor scratch, needs a new paint job, maybe a camera got busted out, we're looking at thousands of dollars. So do not cheat yourself with the possibility that you're going to have a run-in with someone that does not have insurance. Because let's be real, the couple $100 it probably costs over the course of 6 months or a 12-month policy is way cheaper than you having to sue someone and dig into your own pockets to make sure that you can get yourself, your medical bills taken care of, and your property damage. So remember to ask yourself, are you protected? As always, thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions on today's conversation, you can always call me at 602-525-5665 or email me at cmcqueen@farmersagent.com. We'll see you next week.